I woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of tapping on my window. At first, I thought it was just a tree branch swaying in the wind, but the tapping persisted. I sat up in bed and listened, heart pounding in my chest. Tap, tap, tap. I got out of bed and crept towards the window, trying to be as silent as possible. I hesitated for a moment before pulling back the curtains, and there, staring back at me with hollow, empty eyes, was a figure that looked exactly like me. My breath caught in my throat and I stumbled back. It couldn't be me, right? But as I looked closer, I noticed that the figure mimicked every movement I made. It was like looking into a mirror, except for those dead eyes. I backed away, my heart racing. A strange sense of déjà vu washed over me. Had I experienced this before? A distant memory lingered at the back of my mind, but I couldn't quite recall it. The figure outside continued to stare at me, unblinking. Its face was expressionless, as if it were waiting for me to make a move. I scrambled for my phone and called the police. It felt like a lifetime before they answered, and I stumbled over my words as I explained the situation. "There's someone outside my window," I said. "They look just like me. Please send someone over." The operator on the other end of the line didn't seem to believe me, but they promised to send a patrol car anyway. I hung up and tried to steady my breathing, staring at the figure outside. As if sensing my fear, the figure started to move. It gestured at me, almost beckoning me outside. I shook my head, backing further away from the window. The figure started to mimic my movements again, making me feel like it was taunting me. My vision started to swim, and I felt like I was going to faint. Just then, the sound of police sirens filled the air. I rushed to the window, heart in my throat. The figure was still standing there, but it had started to fade away. By the time the patrol car pulled up, it was gone. The officers took my statement but couldn't find anything out of the ordinary. They suggested I might have been dreaming or hallucinating, but I knew what I had seen. For days, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Everywhere I went, I felt like someone was watching me. But then, gradually, the feeling subsided. Life went on, and I convinced myself that it was just a strange occurrence that had no explanation. Years passed, and I barely thought about the incident. It was only when I woke up one night, more tapping on my window, that it all came flooding back. I was older now, and I'd learned how to handle fear. I got out of bed and approached the window, heart in my throat. When I pulled back the curtains, there was no figure there, no mimicking of my movements. Instead, I saw a small, frail child standing outside, shivering in the cold. Their face was marked with bruises, and their eyes were hollow and hopeless. I didn't hesitate. I opened the window and invited the child inside, wrapping them up in a warm blanket. As I held the child close, I knew I'd been given a second chance to right the wrongs of the past. The incident with the figure was still a mystery, but now I understood what it meant. It was an omen that there was someone who needed my help, someone who could only be saved by me. From that night on, I vowed to pay closer attention to the world around me, to listen for those who needed me the most. And although the memory of that hollow figure still gave me chills, I knew that I had the power to make a difference. It was a small step, but it was enough for now. And who knows, maybe one day the mystery of that figure would be solved. Maybe it was a warning, or maybe it was a reflection of something deep within me. But for now, I was content to focus on the present, to be the best version of myself for those who needed me. Because at the end of the day, that's all that mattered.